In Lagos, Nigeria, around the time of the Christmas festival season. The city was already buzzing with excitement, lights, and the spirit of celebration, with families and friends coming together. But for Tolu, a 25-year-old university graduate, her excitement was different. She had been chatting with a guy named Kola for a few months now. They had met online, through social media app. Kola, a wealthy young man, was handsome, charming, and full of promises. He showed her his flashy lifestyle, including pictures of his luxurious house, and he made many promises to her for helping her building up her career financially. They had spoken about meeting in person, and after weeks of building trust in themselves, Tolu finally decided that the festive month was a nice time to visit him. Kola had been kind, showing interest in her thoughts and dreams. He had even helped her with some few business ideas, and Tolu was eager for a fresh start. Tolu was convinced he was the right person to meet. She prepared herself for the visit with excitement and expectancy. She texted him the night before, and he confirmed he would be waiting for her at his apartment in a high-end area of the city. When Tolu arrived at Kola's luxurious home, she couldn't believe her eyes. It was far more beautiful than the pictures Hidu sent her. Everything seemed perfect, from the large marble floors to the elegant decor. Kola greeted her with a smile on his face, and he gently gave Tolu a welcome hug, an assurance that she would feel comfortable. He offered her a drink, and they sat down interrogating, laughing, and discussing life, aspirations, and everything in between. The atmosphere was warm, but there was something about Kola that felt a bit off. He was unusually calm, almost too quiet. As the evening grew darker, Tolu felt herself getting sleepy, perhaps from the long drive and the excitement. She didn't want to overstay her welcome, but Kola insisted she stay for the night. "You're my guest," he said, his tone reassuring but firm. "There's no rush. Just relax." Tolu, feeling unsure but not wanting to seem rude, so she agreed. Later that night, things took a frightening turn. Kola had been distant from her during their conversation, and his behavior had suddenly changed. After Tolu had gone to sleep in the guest bedroom, she woke up suddenly and she heard a strange sound. Her heart began beating fast as she noticed Kola was no longer there. Then, it happened. The door to the room opened slowly, and Kola walked in, flanked by two other men, all of them carrying ruthless expressions. Before Tolu could scream, they rushed to her and began beating her mercilessly. The pain was unbearable, her body aching with every blow. They tied her hands and legs with a thick rope, leaving her helpless, and she was unable to move. She could barely comprehend what was happening. Kola, the man she had trusted, was no longer the charming individual she had thought he was. The two men seemed to be talking in an uncontrolled manner. They were talking in low, hurried voices. Tolu couldn't understand everything they were saying, but she could hear the words, sacrifice, and a ritual. Desperation surged through her, and she struggled against the ropes, trying to break free. But it was useless. They were too strong. She had no idea how she had ended up in such a horrifying situation. She tried to scream louder for help, but Kola and his friends quickly blocked her mouth with a piece of cloth, covering up her eyes too. Tolu, was desperate and terrified, and she could only listen as they talked amongst themselves, discussing their ritualistic plans. She now realized, with fearfulness, that Kola was not the successful businessman he had pretended to be, although he was involved in dark, dangerous money ritual deals, rituals that required human sacrifice. Meanwhile, outside in the compound, Kola's neighbor, Emeka, had been sitting quietly in his living room. He was no stranger to noise, but tonight, something caught his attention. Faintly, from the direction of Kola's apartment, he heard strange sounds, someone whispering, silent cries, and faint noises. It was obvious. Emeka had lived next door for over a year and had never heard such disturbing noises at such an hour. His curiosity grew, and he decided to check it out. Emeka knocked on the door repeatedly but received no response. He heard more silent sounds, and his instincts told him something was terribly wrong. Tolu's muted cries, though faint, were enough to make him sure that someone needed help. Without wasting any more time, Emeka quickly called the police. He didn't know what was happening, but he was sure that something terrible was unraveling behind that door. The police arrived quickly, their sirens breaking the calm of the night. They knocked on the door, and when no one answered, they immediately broke the door open. What they found inside was beyond anything they expected. Tolu was tied up to the chair, she was bruised and shocked, but she was still alive. Kola and his two friends were frightened, and before they could react, the officers swiftly put the handcuffs in their hands and arrested them. The police acted quickly, securing the scene and freeing Tolu from her restraints. As they untied her and helped her up, Tolu could barely believe what had just happened. Her world had shattered, and she felt a deep sense of betrayal and fear, but she was alive. They rushed her to the hospital, where doctors treated her injuries, but the emotional trauma would take much longer to heal. Back at the station, Kola and his friends were detained. Their plans was unfavorable by Emeka's timely intervention. The police soon uncovered that Kola had been involved in several illegal activities, using his wealth and charm to lure young women into his ritualistic practices. He and his friends were charged with assault, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit ritualistic crimes. As the days passed, the news spread, and people were horrified by the true nature of Kola's life. Tolu's bravery in surviving the trial, and Emeka's quick thinking became a topic of conversation across Lagos, especially during the Christmas era. It was a reminder to many of the hidden dangers that ambush behind the perfect interfaith people presented online. Though Tolu's life had been irreparably changed, she was determined to heal and move forward. The support from her family and the police helped her regain a sense of safety. In the end, Tolu was one of the lucky ones. The experience became a lesson for many others, to never trust strangers so blindly, and to always listen to their instincts, even in a world where appearances can often deceive. As for Kola and his friends, they were sentenced to long years in prison. Their wealth and lifestyle could no longer shield them from the law. And for Emeka, he became a quiet hero, a man whose curiosity and courage saved a life during a season meant for celebration. I hope you enjoyed the tale. If so, kindly like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel.